Respect the place that you call home. Respect the land in which you roam. Respect the country you were born. Let's take it back. Respect reform. Hold on to freedom, hold on to hope. Don't give them slack, don't give them rope. Don't walk and hang your head in shame. Be proud, stand tall, and we will reign.
Okay, guys. Well, welcome to episode 51, and I think we're live tonight. What do you think, Tony? You think we're live?
If anyone's out there still,
Okay.
we're here again.
Okay.
Pod
From the
51.
secret underground bunker. So, anyway, tonight we've got a special 90-minute program, and we're going to do 90 minutes, even though we're starting late. Behind the scenes, we had to do some technical changes, and we've succeeded. We persist and we succeed. So for the first hour, we'll be discussing concerns surrounding the NHS services across Devon with a lady named Sue Colley. She's from the Heart Campaign, and her counselor and our great counselor, Devon County Counselor Jax, is here as well. Hi, Jax.
Hello there.
And then in the second segment, we've got another exciting, equally exciting journey here. And we're going to be joined by Sue Whiting, and she's our reform candidate for Dawlish. And Steve Horner will be joining us also, who's a district councilor from the area. So let's roll. And hey, by the way, as always, this show is about local people, local issues, and giving residents a voice. So feel free to comment. Okay. Hey, Neil, what's the topic again tonight now?
Yeah, before we start, just apologies for being late. I don't know what's going wrong with it. The computer seems to have dropped the key. Just to our guest tonight, Sue, she is non-political, and I just want to make that clear, right? No politics is being discussed, right? But tonight's topic is Devon's NHS under pressure. And we talk about the Heart Campaign. We're going to be looking at the NHS services. We're going to be looking at the hospital resilience and pathology services and patients' concern. So you'll actually be pleased. I won't be saying much tonight. Sue will be running the show, won't you, Sue?
Hopefully, yes, I'll get the point across. I'll do my best.
And if I could say, it's the first time she's done a podcast, but she's very confident.
Hopefully, yes.
Okay.
So where do you want me to start?
Well, just
Not yet.
Yeah.
Too keen.
Fantastic. Susie, just before we start getting the detail here, tell us a little bit about yourself and the Heart Campaign just for a minute or two, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Well, as you can tell, I'm not in the first flush of youth. I was a nurse for about 30 years. And then when my husband passed away, I moved into private medical health insurance and carried on with that until I retired from that last year in 2024. I first got involved with the Heart Campaign when we learned in about March, April last year that the NHS and their infinite stupidity thought it was a brilliant idea to possibly close the cardiac department at Torbay Hospital over the weekend for an 8-week period.
Okay, thank you very much, Susie, for that summary here. And now I'd just like to flash over to just reinforce what this podcast is all about. Tony?
Well, we're going to do it this time, Rob. We're going to do it good. Because this podcast is about the community. So get involved tonight. Get in touch. Message us directly through this page. Comment during the live pod. Share your experiences and concerns. We want to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Tony. Now, I'm going to not do as good a job as yours because yours is awesome, I'm sure. But now, we want to have a conversation with you guys, so let's have a conversation. We're on Facebook, finally now. You can comment on Facebook. You can send us a text on WhatsApp, or you can subscribe to Neil's channel on YouTube, or on YouTube as well. Or you can email Neil or Tony. Just substitute Tony.Stevens or and that sort of thing. So anyway, Neil, would you like to add to that a little bit?
Yeah, so remember what we're here for. Even though we're late, we expect we've lost most people, but you can relay it and you can record it and play it back. Okay, we're here. We want to listen to you tonight, please. Sue is really interesting. We want questions coming in, which I'll direct to Sue and she will answer it. So get these questions in.
Okay, fantastic. Now, let's go through a little bit of updates about what you all have been doing. Tony, why don't you kick it off? That's a great photo
I'll
of you
kick
there.
it off. Look, I mean, obviously, some of the local and kinds of emails that I deal with, you'd be a bit bored if I told you some of them. So what I'll do this time is mention that there's a big fete coming up in St. Thomas Church at the beginning of July. So that's coming up, and hopefully that'll be a big event that you'll all support. We went to a meeting the other day that involved the winter St. Thomas Fete, which is in November, in the 21st or whatever of November. That's another one we'll hope you'll support fully, because it's a really big community event and it pulls everyone together.
Thanks very much, Tony. Neil, how about you? What's
we're
what's
going to
going on in your
keep it
your
quite
division?
brief. So Rediscover Church, which we're supporting in order to them to get new premises. There was an event went on last week, which was basically to show people what the proposal is and what they hope to succeed. Just want to thank Anthony for turning up and the other councillors. A lot of councillors didn't turn up, but we'll discuss that another day. But the event was successful. I would thank planning for giving us guidance. They're working closely with Rediscover Church in order to get everything sorted out so they can resubmit their planning. So that was a really good event, and a site survey, I would call it. And there's a lot of things going on as well. And I'll pass you over to Jacqueline.
Okay. Hey, Jacqueline, what's happening in your patch there?
Oh, I'm as busy as normal in Newton Abbot North. Been very, very busy with emails regarding the diversion routes still. There are a couple of things that I'm working on that are really, really big issues that I can't go into at the moment because I'm still in the investigation stage, but they are very, very big issues that I'm sure you will all want to hear about at some stage. Just want to mention the Teignbridge Community Hub in Newton Abbot. They're raising and doing an event which is a country festival. So get your cowboy boots on, get your tickets to get along there. That's the Teignbridge Community Hub, and they're holding the event at the rugby club in Kingstainton. That's in July, mid-July.
Thank you so much, Jax. Now, Neil, should we get on to the topic for tonight, this first segment anyway? Which is,
the meat of it, and we're going to hand it over to Sue. It is the Heart campaign. I was aware of it a few months ago because, Jacqueline, you've been supporting Sue and the campaign itself. But we're going to save, the campaign is to save Torbay Hospital Cardiac Unit. So, Sue, the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much indeed, Neil, and thank you very much indeed for having me here tonight. In actual fact, it's morphed from not just the cardiac department, but lots of other departments in the hospital, which I'll touch on. But the first one, as I alluded to at the beginning, was to do with what they call the cath labs, the cardiac department, where the NHS last year thought it was a terribly good idea to do an 8-week trial, or to try and do an 8-week trial of closing the department at the weekends. I don't think they were terribly enamoured when I basically made a comment that were they going to build more crematoria, because obviously if people couldn't get to Torbay Hospital if they were having a heart attack at the weekends, and if they had to go over Holden Hill to get to Exeter, they'd be dead. You can't sugarcoat it. I used to be a cardiothoracic sister at St. Thomas's Hospital, and if you're having a heart attack, one of your coronary arteries is blocked and you need to get to hospital ASAP to get it unblocked, you will not make it if you have to come to Exeter. Nothing the matter with Exeter, nothing the matter with Plymouth, but it's the geographical distances, and the NHS just don't seem to understand that. So we managed to curtail that.
Okay, just the Heart Campaign. Who's involved there? Who are the Heart Campaign?
I was elected the chair. We've got Phil Keeling, I beg his pardon, who's an cardiologist at Torbay Hospital. He's on the committee. Sally Ann Gerard, who writes for the paper and is a huge supporter. Margaret Forbes Hamilton, who's a huge community lady, and Nicole Emile and myself. We are the committee.
And so you can all ask questions here. It's not all
Yep.
about me, Tony.
Oh, right, sorry.
So basically, you started the campaign. Why did you start the campaign?
Because we could see that the NHS stroke the ICB had no idea of what they were trying to do if they closed the cardiac department at Torbay Hospital, what they were doing to the people in the catchment area. Because it's not just in Torbay, it's right down to East Prawle up to Exeter. The catchment area includes about 179,000 in the winter and over 200 plus in the summer.
So is this about saving money from management who don't quite understand what they're doing? Because obviously they're putting lives at risk by shutting this unit.
With respect, it's not quite that. It's not they don't understand. They don't quite understand. They don't understand at all because they haven't taken the advice of the cardiologist and looked at the stats. It is medical fact that if you do not get your coronary artery unblocked within 45 minutes at the tops, you are dead. It's as simple as that. But it has now moved from the cardiac department. They are trying to close other departments as well.
So are they actually trying to shut the whole hospital down and just downsize it like they did in the Paynton Hospital?
From our understanding, yes, because the latest issues that we have is that they are trying to move histopathology from Torbay Hospital to Exeter, to a place called Gadian House. The council, in Torbay Council, in their infinite wisdom again, are apparently loaning 7.4 million to Gadian House or the RD&E to move the histopathology department from Torbay Hospital up to Exeter, which means they can't do any cancer biopsies at Torbay anymore, or if that comes off. So that will be another chunk of the hospital which will close.
See, my concern is by doing all this, they're putting more of a strain on the Exeter Hospital, Wanford, because there's more of a workload coming in, which is essentially anyone from Exeter with cardio problems going in. It's sort of, there's going to be a bit of a waiting list and a queue.
Well, there's more than a waiting list because in actual fact, some of the patients from Exeter are now dealt with down in Torbay because Exeter's overloaded. And we've all seen the number of houses that are being built. Whoever decided that was a good idea wants their brain sorting out because the infrastructure is not there. Up in London, they don't understand the topography and the demographics of Devon and Cornwall.
Susie, is there sufficient staff to man, so to speak, or to staff both Torbay and RD&E? Or is it more about the fact that there's pressures on staff or to get staff, so therefore they've got to co-locate the facilities into one?
In answer to your question, there were, but by stealth, the ICB stroke NHS are downgrading, hoping to downgrade the hospital by not advertising jobs when people leave. I have 10 people in the hospital, staff in the hospital. I will tell nobody who they are. They are my moles, and they give me the information. When people give their notice in to leave, that job is not advertised for over 9 months after they've left. So gradually they are demoralising the staff that are left and downgrading the staff. So eventually there won't be enough staff. Yeah. So eventually those departments will close.
Are there other, support services that the cardiac department need in order to function that maybe Torbay doesn't have because it's not a major hospital like RD&E? Is that maybe a problem?
With respect, it is an acute hospital. They do the angioplasties, the life-saving stents when you're having a heart attack. I quite accept they don't do the cardiac surgery where you need coronary bypass. That's done down in Plymouth or up in Derriford. They all have their specialities. But you cannot take away an acute hospital like Torbay and expect Exeter to cope and Plymouth to cope. It's nonsensical. And they are not listening to the consultants at Torbay Hospital.
Neil?
When you say they're not listening, the NHS, or when you say they are not listening, who are they?
The ICB,
That's
namely
the Integrated Care Board, is it?
Integrated Care Board,
Yeah.
which is part of the NHS. You've got Mark Hackett and John Govett who lead them, and Libby Ryan Davies. They just either they don't want to understand or they refuse to understand. Whether they think it's going to save money, I have no idea.
That's what I was going to say. What's their incentive? Why?
I would imagine it. They think they're going to save money. But as I've said to Libby Ryan Davies on more than one occasion, when you have a couple of corporate manslaughter libel suits put on your desk, I think that'll change your mind.
Excuse me, Susie.
Sorry.
When I was last in the NHS, a number of years ago anyway, it wasn't too long ago, but there was something called the CCG, Clinical Commissioning Group.
Yeah.
Have the ICBs replaced the commissioning groups? Is that what's happened?
I believe they have, and this is the problem. They keep on reinventing the wheel, but they don't listen
I
to the
see.
medical people.
So just for the benefit of the audience, if I were to summarize, roles and responsibilities, the ICB is sort of like maybe hopefully replace the CCGs, and the ICB is a regional organization which commissions services from all sorts of healthcare providers on behalf of the NHS. So, for example, in England, I would imagine there are maybe, what do you think, about 20 different ICBs, and then they get funding from the NHS to disperse? Is that the role, basically, of the ICB?
I believe that is. The ICB have recently brought out a One Devon plan for healthcare, a 5 to 10 year plan, where they're keen on everything to be done in the community. Well, yes, everything must change, and I agree that change is always good, but you can't take away an acute hospital. As I said very sarcastically to, I think it was Libby Ryan Davies, are you going to do angioplasties on the kitchen table? We're going back to before Anara and Bevan brought in the NHS. It's absolutely nonsensical what they're trying to do.
So,
Jacqueline, what? Yeah, you was going to say?
Yeah, I mean, I got involved with this. I live closely to Torbay Hospital, and I heard about Susie and the campaign via Facebook. And the reason I got involved in this in the first place, because it really hit a chord in my heart. I lost my sister. She had a cardiac arrest, and they rushed her into hospital. Luckily, they could get her to hospital, but they rushed her into hospital, and she had 2 further cardiac arrests, and in the end, they had to let her go. So, I'm quite passionate about backing Susie on this, and I want to give her as much support as I can. I've recently went to the full council meeting at Devon County Council, where I handed out the leaflets to every councillor and every officer in the chamber, and was lucky enough to hopefully have received the backing of full council, so that I can get Susie there to talk to everybody there and let them know what's really happening. Thank you very much for having Susie here today. She's got so much information that she can give you, so I'm going to shut up and let Susie crack on.
Yeah, no, can I just say something? And this is from Nat. Hi, Nat, Bex. And I'm just going to bring a message from Nat. Bex has been referred down to Torbay and recently attended an appointment. When she got home, she said it was absolutely huge out of the door in waiting rooms. So it is a functioning, marvellous, packed, in-demand facility.
I couldn't agree more. The cardiac department at Torbay Hospital is rated the 4th best in the country for coronary perfusion. And coronary perfusion, for those who don't understand the technicalities, is when you have a blocked coronary artery which is stopping the blood flow to your heart muscle. And if you don't get that block dispersed within a certain amount of time, namely tops 40 minutes, that part of your heart is going to die. If you survive, you then live with what we call congestive cardiac failure, which is going to cost the NHS even more money to keep you alive, or worst possible scenario, you die. Now, Torbay Hospital, under Phil Keeling, who's now on our committee, they've honed their skills, so they are superb. Namely, as I've said, they are the 4th best in the country for coronary perfusion. Up in Exeter, for whatever reason, they've got twice as many cardiologists, but their rating is far lower than Torbay Hospital. So I don't understand why the ICB, if they have any brain at all, are trying to close a really good acute hospital, an acute department, and allow the catchment area of Torbay down to East Paul up to Exeter to go to Exeter. I'm not denigrating Exeter. For whatever reason, their work practices are not as slick as Torbay Hospital. So I am bemused at what they're doing.
Excuse me, Susie.
Yeah.
So who has met with the ICB, Integrated Care Board?
I have.
Okay. And what response have you gotten from them then?
They came down last year. Libby Ryan Davies and Stephen Clark and Stephen Moore came down after I'd had a meeting with Joe Teep of Torbay Hospital, and he couldn't answer any of my questions. So I said, well, you don't know, with respect, you don't know what you're talking about. So get the ICB down, please. I want to talk to them. So they came, and this is the crux. They were half an hour late for their appointment. And why were they late for their appointment with us? They got stuck on Holden Hill. So I said, I rest my case. That's half the problem. Libby Ryan Davies sat there with Stephen Moore and basically said there was no problem, that that Exeter could cope with the influx. And then Phil Keeling, who was at the meeting, the cardiologist, said, that is absolute rubbish. No, they can't cope with the influx because we being Torbay Hospital, we are already taking patients from Exeter because, of course, they are taking patients from Barnstaple because the ICB stroke NHS have already closed most of the departments in Barnstaple. So patients from Barnstaple come down to Exeter. Exeter can't cope, so they send the patients to Torbay. So patients in Torbay have to stand aside to let the most urgent ones from Exeter be dealt with. So to even think about closing the coronary unit at Torbay Hospital is madness.
Okay, and what's the next step with your campaign there, Susie?
We have a fantastic meeting coming up next week on the 24th. We've got Mike Forster coming down from Huddersfield. He and his committee saved Huddersfield Royal Infirmary. Now, they took the NHS stroke ICB to the High Court a couple of years ago to save their hospital, Huddersfield Infirmary, and they won. So he is coming down to the Grand on the 24th, 5 o'clock, for a start at 5:30, to tell us what he did, how he did it. So that should, to quote Michael Caine, should blow the whatever doors off.
Do you think you've got a really good chance of turning this decision around then?
We have to.
Yeah. I mean, my concern would be that if I was a Torbay resident and they did close the coronary unit, getting to Exeter, it is a 25-minute drive, but that's assuming that there's nothing in the way. Because, you're going from Torbay through the main streets of Exeter to get to the hospital.
Quite.
And that's assuming, like I say, there is nothing there. And like you say, every second counts.
Absolutely.
Neil, what do you have to say about that?
Sorry, Jacqueline, a few questions. So you've got the campaign up and running.
Yep.
How many people are supporting you in your campaign?
We've got 7.5 thousand people on the Facebook, but I put a note up the other day about the histopathology, and again, another 7.5. No, it was 5.2 million, 5.2 thousand. Sorry, 5.2 thousand responded to that. So if both of those figures came together, it's over 12,000 people following us.
Okay, and the next question. So if they had their way, when would this be closed?
Well, that's a very good question, because they are insidiously doing this bit by bit. Now, with this latest issue regarding the histopathology, if they move the histopathology up to Gadian House, that will mean that no more cancer biopsy operations can take place at Torbay Hospital. So those departments will close, those wards will close. They will get rid of the nurses, etc., etc., etc. So by they're doing,
they're winding it down
Exactly.
very sneakily.
Got it. You
Sneakily,
got it in one.
Underhanded.
Got it.
So then people don't realise, and then flash to bang. And this is being done on different things all over there. Jacqueline.
I just feel it's being done very, very underhanded, very quietly, almost like under the cover of darkness. And Susie, we've got badges to sell to try and raise money towards the campaign. We need to raise money if we are going to go to court with this and challenge this. So we need the support. If you need your hospital, which God forbid you very well may do, we need you to back this. We need you to join in with Susie and the campaign and help us save our hospital.
So we're in a very... Nobody seems to have any money, they say. They blame it on the money.
Absolutely.
Right, they blame it on the money, but they can find the money. We're not going down any corridor here. I'm not going to point out, but they can find money for... Right, so I've had a lot of reports about the hospitals. So I've had a lot, and this is what I've heard, and I have spies as well. All right, that there's a lot of money being thrown around, a lot of money being wasted, a lot of things where people are bullied. Okay, and I know we're not talking about this right now, but in a way, why would you close the fourth best in the country? And my biggest gripe is Alphington, which district, Teambridge is right on my border. You've summed it up, Sue. They've built thousands, and they're going to build another 2,500 there. So they're going to use... They're not going to go to they're going to use your hospital extra. So not only we're getting a bigger capacity of people, which they have every right to be looked after, okay, but they're squashing it into one hub.
Yeah, it won't work.
It won't.
There'll be
people
like a
will have to
waiting list
die.
just for that.
Exactly.
People will die to prove a point, which is sad,
Exactly.
especially this day and age.
But in actual fact, the NHS ICB have already breached the NHS law, because 2006, 2007 superseded in 2022.
Yeah.
The NHS law said, basically, if there was any substantial change in the provision of medical resources, there had to be a public consultation. Well, unless I've been asleep on at the wheel, I haven't seen a public consultation.
Yeah, I'm not... Public consultations is one of my big pet hates. The reason I say that is they sneak it. They say they do it because they tick a box. They put a little advert in the paper, all right, and then they send out all these little emails to a little area, and then that's ticked it. Then half the people, or most of the people, said, well, where's that consultation?
Precisely.
Yeah. So we just lead on to... So you've got a campaign, which is fantastic.
Thank you.
We know that a lot of people have had stents.
Yep.
All right, my father's had stents. I was in hospital not for a stent, but I was attacked by a virus, and they took 1.5 liters off my lungs, and my heart was damaged. And the story is, I've been, these people have supported me, but you need money.
Absolutely.
We're not here to campaign for money, but if anybody has been affected, been in there, and you've got some time, you need to support this. We need to spread this out, because one day we'll wake up and it'll be closed.
Exactly.
And this is why you've come on this
Absolutely. We need the money for our legal challenge because, as I've alluded to, the meeting next week with Mike Forster, he used a solicitor or a firm of solicitors, which I won't name, and they helped get Huddersfield to the High Court and they won. I have been in contact with that solicitor and they've told us that we need at least 20,000 to even start the legal challenge, and we need at least 40,000 to go to the High Court. I'm sure it'll be more than that, but at the moment we need money. But we are applying for charitable status because, again, as we get the donations in, we've got to be very careful because, of course, the government will tax whatever we've got until we're a charity. So we're applying for charitable status, and we are hoping to get that ASAP. We're hoping to raise the money, so we've got the money in the bank, so we can start our legal challenge because we have to save the hospital for the catchment area of Torbay.
I can tell in your voice, very passionate.
One has to be.
You are very passionate. You should be retired.
I should be.
You should be enjoying life. But you deserve a medal, all right? Because
Thank you.
if it wasn't people like you, these people would get away with what they're trying to do.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. But at the end of the day, I suppose with my medical knowledge behind me and with my committee, because Phil Keeling is amazing. And I should point out that if it wasn't for him and the way he trained his cardiac team, there would be so many people who wouldn't be alive today. And also, if I may say, that the cardiac department came into being because he and his team had actually trained all the ambulance people to inject thrombolizing injections. So when people were having heart attacks years ago, ambulance people could inject, I presume it was heparin, because that thins the blood, so that they could get people to hospital. But now, in this day and age, the ECG goes by the internet to the cardiac department, and then the cardiologists say, right, bring the patient straight in. So they go straight into the cardiac department. They don't go into accident emergency. They go straight in and have their their stent put in via coronary perfusion, and their lives are saved. So if it wasn't for the brilliance of people like Phil Keeling, we wouldn't be sitting here today. So we can't let his hard work and all those who worked with him and all those who are working there at the moment be pushed to one side.
Right. I know we've discussed pathology. Just actually go through pathology again.
Absolutely. It's histopathology, which is the most important thing. Let's take, for example, somebody has a breast lump. You're sent into hospital, you go to theatre, the surgeon takes out the breast lump, and then a runner, either a nurse or a technician, takes that sample in a dish, obviously, down the corridor to the histopathology laboratory, where it is placed underneath a microscope, and then they can see whether that lump has spread or it is encapsulated, it's in one lump, and then a telephone call back to the theatre to say if it's spread, the surgeon has to take a larger incision, namely cut out more, and then the patient's admitted possibly for chemotherapy, radiotherapy. If it's encapsulated, it hasn't spread at all, then the message to the theatre is that's fine, sew the patient up, they can go home later today.
Susie, are there any changes that are being contemplated to the pathology department or histopathology department?
Yes, they are. And that's what's so worrying, because the 7.4 million that Torbay Council are going to loan to the RD&E to open up the Cadian House in Exeter, to move the histopathology up to Exeter, this will mean that those sort of operations, those sort of biopsies cannot be done, and it will not be done anymore at Torbay Hospital. So what are people going to do who've got cancer? Possible cancer. They've got to join the waiting list to go to either Plymouth or Exeter.
Meanwhile, the cancer's spread and they've lost their life.
Exactly.
But just a question for you, it's beyond my knowledge base, but many hospitals actually have joint ventures with other hospitals where they share pathology services. For example, up in Virginia Water, where I lived, St. Peter's Hospital and Royal Surrey Hospital. So when patients get samples made or taken, they're transported to the central pathology department, which I think is at Royal Surrey, if I remember right. Does Torbay Hospital and RD&E have a shared pathology service, or are they totally separate?
Are you? Yes, you're asking me. Well, yes, they probably do, but the whole purpose of the histopathology department at Torbay Hospital is that if you're having a biopsy to confirm whether you have cancer or not, if they do not have the histopathology department there anymore, then those operations will not take place, because the surgeon will not open you up, take the sample, then close you up again and send the sample to Exeter to call you back in a couple of weeks' time, because A, the cancer could have spread, and B, they are not going to operate on you twice. So by moving the histopathology department to Gadian House, they are possibly going to endanger an awful lot of people.
Okay, Jax, did you want to say something about that?
Yeah, I mean, they won't do it. It's putting a patient under 2 lots of anaesthetic. The biggest thing for me is if you're on the table and you're being cut open, you want to know as soon as possible whether that's benign. And to take away that choice is just ridiculous.
Okay. Just clarify something. What I'm hearing, I'm getting an education, so thank you very much. I spent a long time in the NHS and in healthcare, but it's such a big career field. So are you saying that basically when a patient is on the table, they take a sample right then and there and rush it down to the histopathology department and
Yes.
Get an answer right then and there?
Yes.
I see.
Absolutely.
Okay. So you can't have the procedure
No.
down in Torbay without having the histopathology
Correct.
department to support it.
Correct.
I gotcha.
Absolutely correct.
But you're going to lend or give loan 7.4 million and move it all up to Exeter.
Torbay Council have allegedly agreed that they will loan 7.4 million to the RD&E to move the histopathology department up to Gadian House.
To take an asset away.
I know, it's madness.
Okay, I'm a percentage man. All right, so in a year, how many people would actually use that facility? Do you know that?
I don't know that.
No, I'm not trying to put you on
no,
the
No,
spot.
I know you're not, but I don't know.
We want
I'm sorry.
more questions coming in. We'll carry on this, but I'm just going to read out to you, Sue. Right. Gary, thank you. We need more questions here. Ian, very passionate and knowledgeable guest tonight, talking to you.
Thank you.
All right. Gary, great lady. Good on her. All right. Ian, he says, how about just Given page? A catchment area for Torbay is huge. Get it out there. Have you ever thought of that?
We have, but a percentage of the money that people donate will go to Just Giving. I'm to their organisation. I'm not saying no to that, but I want all the money that people donate to go to the cause. So we've got to wait for a charitable.
So if it was Just Giving, they take a percentage.
Correct.
All right, and that if it's not a charity, the taxmen take a percentage.
No.
All right, that's okay. So it's something to explore, but I understand. So you want a page because you're going to set yourself as a charity.
Correct.
All right, so a charity allowed, I don't know all the rules, but then you need to get that because you have Facebook, don't you?
Yes.
All right, yeah, and you have quite a lot of platforms, I think.
We've got a website and a Facebook, and all the FOIs, the freedom of information questions that I've asked are up on the website, and I've asked. I'm not going to say it's 100, probably 30 or 40. The ICB, the NHS and Torbay Hospital, most of the time they don't want to answer them.
Yeah, I say I've had dealings with the ICB and I agree with what you're saying. They are very reluctant to respond to any questions you actually do raise.
They try and answer by not answering.
Exactly.
I think also, Susie, just occurred to me that just practically speaking, when you change services, if you want to, relocate them from Torbay up to RD&E and you want to do this and you do that, there are actually real people involved there. There are nurses.
Quite.
There are, you threw out some names there. They're real people actually, and it is a hike, and staff are under pressure all the time in healthcare, really. And I'm quite sure that some probably will say, you know what, I'm fed up. I'm just gonna take my retirement early, or or they'll go private. Support a private hospital. What do you think about that?
Private is fine because I used to sell private medical health insurance, and the reason that I sold it was that those people who could afford it, absolutely fine, and that would fix things like hips, knees, eyes, etc. But if you are having a heart attack, you can have all the insurance in the world and you can have all the money in the world. If you can't get to an acute hospital and have your coronary arteries perfused, you're dead.
Yeah. I guess what I was meaning to make more clear is, we don't have generally enough consultants in the NHS. And, many consultants, when they're, getting close to retirement, they've had enough, really, and if suddenly somebody says, oh, guess what, Frank or Susie or whatever, you're going to relocate to RD&E next year. Some might not want that, and some might not take it, and they might retire, which increases the pressure and undermines the whole concept of relocating to one service.
Well, that's exactly what's happening. That is exactly what is happening. They're undermining the staff as it is by a very sneaky, underhand manner, and it makes me physically sick to think about it.
Well, the staff must be really depression.
Well, there must be low morale.
Yeah,
because the morale. I mean, if you think they're doing this and you actually know, so they can't step out of line, can they?
No, they can't. I had a perfect example next week, which I can't go into, where the staff are bullied. The atmosphere is toxic. I don't know how the heck they put up with it. But a very valid point is that if Torbay Hospital closed and people had to be dealt with at Exeter and Plymouth, and there's nothing the matter with either of those hospitals, how are they going to visit them? Because the demographic in Torbay, in Devon and Cornwall is far higher than a lot of the other areas in the country. A lot of people don't drive anymore, or they can't afford to drive. And apart from anything else, where are they going to park? You try parking at the RD&E at the moment. Well, good luck on that. Because the number of people who are late for their appointments because they can't get into the damn hospital.
I know. I just don't see the logic. I can't see why the council are supporting them by 7.4 million. I can't see the logic why they're doing it.
Well, I was going to say
let's invite people on. Let's invite them on. Tell them to come and explain.
Well, I asked the question. Sorry to interrupt. I asked the question of one of the councillors at Torbay. Why are you loaning 7.4 million of our money, taxpayers' money, to the RD&E? And he said, "Oh, I okayed it." And I said, "Well, didn't you ask what it was for?" And he said, "No." I said, "Well, you're mad." Because if I loan somebody £7, I want to know what they're going to do with it. But 7.4 million, it's just absolutely abhorrent.
Taxpayers' money.
Exactly.
And we can give you plenty of examples of wasting money.
Yeah, what I was going to say was I can't get over the fact that I can understand organisations wanting to save money. I can understand that. But to try and save it in a department that's so crucial, that time is a factor, I just can't see how they think they can do it.
Well, I'll tell you the way they can do it. They can get rid of layers and layers and layers and layers of the admin. Get rid of those, bring back the old-fashioned matron, let matron organise the hospital and let the consultants do what they are best doing and the nurses do what they are best doing.
And the weird thing is, I was going to say, I've heard that before as well.
Yeah. Get rid of the admin because they don't know what they're doing and they don't care. And that's the problem. They don't care.
Well, to them, it's just numbers, isn't it?
Exactly. All they're looking at is their fat salaries and
their bonus.
And trust me, the salaries in the ICB are eye-wateringly dreadful.
I mean, it's personal in some ways to us because obviously our father had heart problems when he was younger. And although he didn't go to Torbay for that particular thing, I know what a great job these units do. And when he did have his stroke at a young age, we were glad that there was a quick response and he was taken to Exeter Womford because obviously it was a close one. I can't imagine if he lived in Torquay and the situation occurred again and you couldn't go into that thing and you had to transfer him to Exeter, whether you'd have survived the trip.
Well, you won't. I mean, you see the number of times that the motorway or is closed through crashes or the weather or whatever.
There's a notorious
Okay,
road.
Neil, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I just wanted to investigate what you said. Yeah. What you said.
Yeah.
I just wanted to investigate what you said. Yeah, I just wanted to investigate what you said. Yeah, I just wanted to investigate what you said. Yeah, I just wanted to investigate what you said. Yeah, I just wanted to investigate what you said. Yeah, I just wanted to investigate what you said. Yeah, I just wanted to investigate what you said. Yeah, I just wanted to investigate what you said. Yeah, I just wanted to investigate what you said. Yeah, I just wanted to investigate what you said. Yeah, I just wanted to investigate what you said. Yeah, I just wanted to investigate what you said. Yeah, I just wanted to investigate what you said. Yeah, I just wanted to investigate what you said. Yeah, I just wanted to investigate what you said. Yeah, I just wanted to investigate what you said. Yeah, I just wanted to investigate what you said. Yeah, I just wanted to investigate what you said. Yeah, I just wanted to investigate what you said. Yeah, I just wanted to investigate what you said. Yeah, I just wanted to investigate what you said. Yeah, I just wanted to investigate what you said. Yeah, I just wanted to investigate matrons, the old way.
Yep.
It seems that there's always layers and layers and layers of people got these jobs and they sit in their back offices. Okay, because I know a little bit about the lockdown. A lot of we're going off the subject a bit. Nightingale, by the way. Mm-hmm. May I talk about Nightingale?
By all means.
Okay, Nightingale, brilliant. I know the person who organised it. I know the person who actually made the deal with the person who owned it, and they invested a lot of money. Brilliant for the public. But I also know there's a lot of people who aren't working much in there. And a lot of the ladies in pink, whatever they are, turn up later than everybody else. They go home earlier than everybody else. And a lot of people on their phones. Right, there's too many layers. That's what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, you only have to look, and I'm not going to go into it tonight. You only have to look and investigate, if you want to, the salaries of all those in the ICB.
Oh, we don't want to talk about salaries because that's going down a rabbit hole, okay? But if you look at these people in key positions, and I'm not just talking about NHS.
The ICB.
Or ICB and all that. And you start from this, and you have the CEO, then you have the deputy CEO, then you have all the
Exactly.
tiers.
All the tiers.
All right, but
But
look
what
at
about
what they're
the people
doing.
who really matter? The medical staff and the nurses. They're the ones that you look up at when you come round from an
Yeah,
anaesthetic.
and they're the guys who are knowledgeable and they know how to
Exactly.
run it, and you have a matron running it, and you have the doctors who do their work.
Exactly.
But instead now you've got people, I expect not all medically trained,
Quite.
all right, and now telling,
Well, you only have to look at the one Devon paper that's been brought out by the ICB of how they're going to plan medical services in Devon and Cornwall for the next 5 to 10 years. I challenge you to name how many medical people are on, looked at all that information that's been put on there. I don't think they're very many.
I've had one person say here, Sue is bang on. I had an identical, this is Nat, by the way, identical conversation today regarding being too many admin positions in the NHS. Jobs for jobs. Waste, 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 and secretary to empty the bins.
Yeah.
All right, and that's not being nasty to secretaries.
No.
And, I'm just saying, why are we closing or even thinking about closing Torbay? Jacqueline.
Yeah, I just want to say, look, this could happen to anybody. You could be in a position where you need Torbay Hospital, you need the cardiac unit. I think Susie's bang on, and I've been saying this for a long while. We do need to go back to the matron system. We need to scrap out all these paper shufflers in many different sectors, not just the NHS. There's too many people getting paid a lot of money and just shuffling paper. Please support Susie. Get in touch. Look for her on Facebook. Come along to the meeting at the hotel. Come and listen to the speakers. Come and support. It could be you that needs this.
So you really need a groundswell.
Absolutely, because it'll make people wake up. Because at the moment, so many people keep on thinking it's not going to happen. And as we discussed this evening, if I could tell you on day one the doors are going to close there, then fine. But they're doing it by stealth. And that is more sickening than anything else. They're demoralising the staff. Staff don't want to stay any longer. They're retiring earlier. We're losing good, solid medical and nursing staff, and as each department closes, that's another chunk of the hospital gone, and that's possibly some relative of yours who might suffer because that department has gone. So we need everybody in the catchment area from East Prawle up to Exeter to basically tell not only their MPs but their councillors, no, you are not doing this. Huddersfield did it. Why can't Torbay do it? We have to.
Has the local MP got involved in this?
Steve Darling is our local MP and he is behind us, yes.
That's good, though. That's why I asked.
Yeah.
What about the Newton Abbott MP?
Go ahead, Jack.
Sorry, just asking about the Newton Abbott, because I'm Newton Abbott North, just wondering about the Newton Abbott MP. Martin Ridley got involved?
I met him at a meeting.
It should be a concern for all the MPs in the area, really, because from Steve Race, the Exeter MP, because it's going to be Wamford that's going to be swamped, to obviously the Torquay one, because they're the ones who are sort of going to be suffering.
Neil?
Yeah, Adrian, thanks for this. From personal experience, if somebody is lazy or rubbish, it's easier to promote them rather than trying to discipline or get rid of them. With all these new employment laws coming out, it's very hard. And I'm not saying we have to get rid of all the staff, but we're off the rabbit hole there. So the main subject now is this. We need to save this.
Absolutely.
Because in so many months or so many years' time, we will regret it. We're fully behind you.
Thank you.
Okay? Not as a party. It's not political.
No.
As us, as Devon councillors. Jacqueline?
Yeah, I just wanted to say it was going slightly off key there, but when you're talking about losing staff and not being able to get rid of them, I think the biggest thing at the moment is diving down people's Facebook posts and social media posts and trying to find a reason to get rid of people, and this is happening where people are getting accused of all sorts of things just to suspend them and then give them the boot from their jobs. So although it is going down a rabbit hole, it is still connected and it is very concerning.
I know where you're going. I cannot comment on that case. That case will come out.
That's the second case I'm on about.
Okay, so I know that we, as councillors, they monitor our Facebook pages. They monitor this. I have to be careful what I say. Heart Foundation.
Heart campaign.
That's twice now. You're going to have to smack me. Heart campaign is really, really serious now. If we don't support this lady and this campaign, we will lose this hospital. And one day you, family, a child, anybody could turn up there and the door could be closed.
And it'll be a sign saying, go to Exeter.
Right.
And you've summed it up. So let's just do it up before we end it. Right. So Exeter is packed out. You can't park there. It's packed out. You got parking problems. They're trying to build a multi-storey car park that's got refused because the bus service don't want it because it takes money away from them. There's loads of things. We've got your hospital they want to shut. They're dwindling it down. How much staff has gone now? So if you had a percentage of staff, roughly, I know you might not know, how much have they reduced it by?
I don't know, to be honest.
No, that's right.
And no, they're not going to close the hospital. They're reducing it down to a cottage hospital status. Yeah.
That area, which means that person who's on the operating table will get diagnosed right away because I'm listening to what you say.
Yep.
It goes down, they look under a microscope, they bring it back, they carry on, and that person it enhances their life or their life expectancy.
Exactly.
Well, if they take it away, it's time. And time with people with cancer or whatever don't have time.
No.
Right? Every minute, every day counts.
Absolutely.
And we could all stand here and say, yes, yeah. But when it happens to your loved one, and we've been there with my father, you've been there, and everybody will be there in some shape or form. Right? We have to look after this.
Thank you.
So we will, but we need to talk afterwards. Right, we need people to donate. We'll get it all sorted out. We'll shove it. If you've got it on your, if you can jump onto your page and then share it. Everybody in Devon needs to be looking after this.
I agree. Thank you. I
You're
just
a very
hope.
polite lady. Do you know that?
Thank you.
Do you know if I could take some manners and put it into some people I know, it would be fantastic.
That's very kind of you. But I would want everybody to come to the Grand next week on the 24th. 5 o'clock, get there early because you won't get a seat. I want that hotel packed out because that'll be a message to the ICB, NHS, leave our hospital alone unless you want to go to the High Court because I shall be there. As long as I'm upright and breathing, I will take this to the High Court.
Right, let's just say that again. What time, where, and all that.
The Grand at Torquay, next to the railway station, so you don't have to drive, you can get the train. doors open at 5 o'clock. We start at 5:30. Mike Forster from Huddersfield Royal Infirmary campaign, which he saved the hospital, helped save the hospital. He is coming down to give us pointers of how to save Torbay Hospital for you, the people out there in the Torbay catchment area.
Right, and I'll start it off, okay? I don't have a lot of money anymore because somebody else took that because I went to the High Court. But I will donate you £250.
That's really kind of you. Thank you very much
give me
indeed.
your bank details. I
will.
will transfer £250. Okay, now carry on. What have you got there?
There
Show
you
'em.
go. There's the bank details.
Oh, yeah, that was quick.
Now we'll do your bank details. We'll put this. Can you put the camera on me? We'll put this on our webpage as well on both sides. We will promote it on our platforms. I will send it to every platform, and I beg you all to put it. And you haven't just got to live in Devon because this could happen anywhere.
Well, if people come on holiday, and you see, that's another thing which nobody has even thought, well, doesn't appear to have thought of. This is going to harm industry, tourism, the whole bit. Because if you know somebody that comes on holiday to Torbay and they have a heart attack and they die, would you want to come back to Torbay? Answer on a postcard, please. The answer is probably no. So it is. There's a long history of people coming to Torbay for what it is. It's beautiful, etc., etc., etc. But are they going to come again if they know there's no decent hospital within distance if they have a heart attack? Nothing the matter with Plymouth, nothing the matter with Exeter. I'm not saying that, but we need to retain our acute hospital if we want to continue to flourish in Torbay.
Especially if they keep building all these houses.
Oh, I see.
Absolutely, Joe.
And they're going to build even more.
Yeah.
You know, it's right. So I'm going to we're not going to finish yet. You're going to finish, right? But we will put this up and I will donate, not tonight, but
No.
tomorrow morning. All right. And,
Thank you.
Got to check under the sofa first. Find something.
Yeah, but so I'm going to kick off. So if anybody wants to match it or double it or whatever, there's a lot of rich people out there because one day you might need them or you might have used it yourself. So that's it. My wife's come in. She's going, yeah, we've got to wrap it up because we've got other people going on. So what I'm going to say, Sue, you've been fantastic. We've
Thank you.
offered this facility, the underground bunker, anytime for your team, Jacqueline. So because some people described us as happy, grumpy old men, whatever. Okay, but having ladies like you in you is inspirational.
Thank you very
Right.
much indeed for having us. And on behalf of the Heart Campaign, thank you.
My pleasure. Tony?
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been nice talking to you.
Lovely.
And
Thank
like
you
I
very
said,
much.
it's a subject close to our heart as well because of what happened to our father.
I'm sorry you've had your loss, but thank you.
Jacqueline?
Susie, I'm right by the side of you. I'm not backing you. I'm right by the side of you with this fight.
Thank you very much indeed, Jax. And thank you for everybody. And thank you everybody out there who's listened to us tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Susie, again, and Jax for coming on the show. Now, guys, we're going to just take a quick break here, about 1 minute, I promise, while we just escort our new interesting guests on. And thanks again, Susie and Jax, for coming on the show.
positivity, cause I can't justify the way everyone is looking at me. Nothing to lose, nothing to gain, hollow and alone, and the fault is my own, and the fault is my own. I wanna heal, I wanna feel what I thought was never real. I wanna let go of the pain I felt so long. Erase all the pain till it's gone. I wanna heal, I wanna feel like I'm close to something real. I wanna find something I wanted all along. Somewhere I belong. I will never know myself until I do this on my own. And I will never feel anything else until my wounds are healed. I will never make anything till I break away from me. I will break away. I'll find myself today. I wanna heal, I wanna feel what I thought was never real. I wanna let go of the pain I felt so long. Erase all the pain till it's gone. I wanna heal, I wanna feel like I'm close to something real. I wanna find something I wanted all along. Somewhere I belong. I wanna heal, I wanna feel like I'm somewhere I belong. I wanna heal, I wanna.
Okay, so here we are back again, and we've got Sue Whiting from, and she's running for the Forum Candidates in Dawlish. And Steve Horner is also here. Steve. And Steve is a district councilor from Tenmouth, and hopefully at the end of this, we'll have two councilors, district councilors down in that neck of the woods in Newton Abbot. So thank you guys for joining us. Now, earlier in the week, I was down leafleting with some of the Newton Abbot branch people, and I can definitely underscore and support Sue because I knocked on a lot of doors and got some great feedback. And thank you very much, Sue, for running. Neil, would you like to kick it off?
Yeah, but did they hear what I said earlier on? Was it on
I'm
mute?
not sure.
Say it again.
Another
Then.
technical difficulty.
We've got another technical. It is not me, but yeah. So
It was me. That was mine.
So what we're trying to say is Sue's never been on the pod before, never done anything like this. She's basically been pushed in, shoved in, said, right, sit down there, we're going to chat. And what we want to do is find out about who Sue is first. We're going to look about where she comes from, why she got into politics, because that's what politics is, what her passion is. So we're going to ask her a few questions, not to put her on the spot. We just want her to get to know you, right? Because she is a reform councillor, all right? And the more reform councillors we get in, more we can change things. But right now, we need everybody's support. So we want you to understand and get to meet you, Sue. And I've not met you before.
No, first time.
But I've heard some good things about you.
Oh, good. And
Yeah?
I've seen your podcast before.
Okay, so yeah, we've had a few technical issues tonight, and we'll leave it at that.
Way to get the hammer out.
Hopefully, I'll be
so-
fired. Okay.
Sue, tell us about yourself.
Tell us about me. Okay. I was born in London just after the war. My parents lived in the top of a house that was shared with other people in Brixton. That's where I come from. We had an outside toilet that was shared with other people. There was no running water in the top house. We had one room at the top where my mum cooked, and we just lived there. My mother was a hairdresser. I have to say this. My father was not a tool maker. He was a tool setter.
Has that to do with saws and all that?
Well,
you set the blades and...
Well, I think the makers make the tools, and then my dad used to fit them on and make sure they're all sat on the machines properly.
Brilliant.
So I don't think it was as skilled as a tool maker, but there we are.
Seems quite common there.
So, I left London when I was about 13 because we were in rented accommodation in London, and of course a lot of massive house building, London overspill. We managed to get a council house in Buckinghamshire, and I left school then at 15 years old. I have to say, in between that time, from the age of 5 until 15, I went to 7 schools.
7? Oh,
So
yeah.
my
Why is that
education was pretty lousy. I left school at 15 with no qualifications and worked for a hospital, Stoke Mandeville, very famous hospital in Buckinghamshire. I worked there for 2 years until I joined the Navy.
I'm starting to like you already. I didn't know you were military.
Yes, I was a Wren, and I was stationed initially in Reading, Coldrose, and then Yeovilton, where I met my husband, who was a chief petty officer. We had 2 children, and my eldest boy went into the Navy, and my only grandchild is in the Navy now. He's aircrew on 846 Squadron at Yeovilton at the moment, where they've had that recent crash, actually.
Yeah, sadly, one of our counsellors was connected to the young lady who...
The pilot.
So he was in the Navy. And if I'm, and my heart goes out to the family, which I said last time, but I think it was a last flight to get her wings.
Oh.
So, but as you said,
Yeah,
So
it's very,
very
sad. Yeah. So I have quite a strong Navy background and family background. So when I was in my mid-40s, I decided to go to college, take my A-levels, and then I went on to university to Brighton, which was the Polytechnic, but this time it had turned into university in Brighton. So I studied and got my Bachelor of Arts degree there in library studies, so I could be a librarian if I wanted to.
Mm.
But that was all a bit boring, so I decided to incorporate computers with librarianship, and that was much more exciting. In my second marriage, I moved down to the West Country. We moved to Dawlish, and we ran the pub, the Swan Inn in Dawlish, for a few years until I left him there.
You're quite an adventurous lady.
I move about.
He's
quite
still
a
in
bit.
the pub then.
Is he still
No, he's
alive
not
in the
now.
Still waiting.
Yeah, he's still alive. He's not now. He stayed on a couple of years after, and then he retired. He got time. But during my time in Dawlish, I absolutely loved it. The people, the ward that I'm running for is the ward where the pub was. So it's the southwest ward, and it's quite an interesting ward because most of the properties there are older properties. So a lot of post-war houses, a lot of Victorian terraced houses. You've got the main shopping area is part of that ward as well. The other ward, so the other side, the northeastern, is where there's been massive house building. So lots of incomers have come into that area. But the ward that I'm running for is where my pub was, and a lot of those people that live there are generation and generation and generation of Dawlish people. And I got to love them. They were so welcoming and friendly and kind and helpful that I decided that Dawlish was my most favourite place. It was my home. It's my adopted home. Circumstances happened in my life which weren't planned, but I ended up having to move away. But as soon as I could, I came back. And I came back into the area, and I wanted to give something back to Dawlish. I can see what's happened in other parts of this country. I've lived in a lot of places in my life. I moved around quite a lot, and I can see the changes that are happening. And what scares me is that my lovely Dawlish is going to be destroyed if we do not do something about the changes, the wave of change that's moving down this way.
We'll investigate the changes in a minute.
Yeah.
That's why I.
I'm just putting up a nice little slide here.
That's the
I don't
Black
recognize
Swan.
that. Where is that? Is that Dawlish there?
Yes.
Famous for the Black
It's a
Swans.
lovely
Yeah.
area, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, what you said, sort of, one thing that strikes me is you would have been well known in the area that you're going for because of the pub. So that is really good to hear.
Yeah.
And not, you've just appeared. So people would know you and they would probably trust you as well.
So
Neil?
Steve, did you convince her or did she come to you? So how did you connect?
No, it was the branch committee were talking about how do we respond to the by-election and who should we ask and how many people in Dawlish itself amongst the membership there liked the idea. And I think a few liked the idea, but they were a little bit nervous of taking it on. And I think somebody pointed out and knew that you'd been the landlady of the Swan there, said, "Hey, Sue, how about you?" And you went, "Me?" I remember it. And I think you took a little persuading to take the plunge, but once you got the idea, it was like, don't you dare hold me back. I'm going to do it. And that's great.
But it is a challenge.
Yeah.
And we won't go too down that road until the end.
Right.
You may not be in the room.
But I've looked at your leaflet. Okay, because I've never met Sue
I
before.
don't like my leaflet. It's horrible.
What's
Go
wrong
on,
with
tell
it?
me why.
Well, it was the one I had to have from head office.
Oh, well, we've said that.
It's
quite a lot of
rubbish.
times.
It
Yeah.
says nothing about me. It says nothing about me. So people that know me from the pub's fine, but people that don't know me in that area, they know nothing about me. All the things that I've just been telling you.
Though, to do your own leaflet?
No, we weren't allowed. We had to.
That's
We
true.
had to have this
In the
one.
door
Okay,
knocking.
Neil, let's...
I'm not allowed
Is there
to
another
say
spin on this, please?
Am I
I'm
not
the
allowed
bad
to say
boy.
this?
Let's
I'm
put
the
let's
one
put a
who
different
seems
spin on
to
this.
get into trouble. So I'm not going to comment
Am I not
on
allowed
this.
to say this?
You can
Right.
say what you like.
No,
because
It's true.
we're an
It's
open
not
and
a
honest
lie.
party.
It's
we
true.
are,
You know.
we are supposed to be an open, and we are an open and honest party.
Somebody actually did say on the doorstep, "Oh, I'd have liked to have known a little bit more about
Yeah.
Sue from the leaflet." I said she was constrained to use it.
Yeah.
We're going to go off that subject.
You've got
'cause
a trusting
it's
face,
a sore
you say,
subject.
so.
Let's
Well,
keep to the rhythm.
just to bring a bit of balance to it, okay? Or another
Yeah, the
alternative
trouble
view, because there are all sorts of different views. But no, I mean, head offices. We've dealt with head offices in different organizations. Doesn't matter if you're an NHS or a private organization, and they have access to a lot more information than we do. Also, so we should take on board their great guidance. By the same token, there's also local ground truth as well, right, Sue? So,
Exactly.
anyway, I hope that provides a little bit of balance, eh, Neil?
Right, let's go back. Let's
do you
just
think
shove the
about that?
leaflet to the side
Not
because
allowed to
it's
talk
quite
about that.
leaflets are quite a sore subject with me as well.
Oh,
But
right.
if I ever do a leaflet, I always get permission. I always go and make sure it's cleared because we're doing it. But let's stick to. So part of it is about protecting local services. Tell me about this. What are you laughing at?
Nothing. No, protecting local services. Are you referring to the hospital?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, the hospital has a minor injuries unit, but it's not been open for a while because the official line is they can't get the staff to run it. which seems a bit odd to me. And with the massive influx of...
I've been told off, no leaflets. I didn't bring it up.
I brought it up. With the massive influx of new house building there and the seasonal influx of holiday makers, I think the hospital minor injuries unit should be opened. So
just step back. So you've got a hospital there.
Yeah.
Is it open?
It's open for... it's not open. So if you were down on the beach and you cut your foot or something, or your son was banging nails with a hammer and he hit his finger, you can't use the minor injury unit at Dawlish Hospital because it's closed. But I think you can go there for an X-ray or something like that. Those kinds of things. But it is a minor injuries unit, but it's closed.
So if I cut my finger and I need stitches, it's a minor injury, but it's closed.
You can't go there. You have to go to Newton Abbot.
But if I wanted an X-ray, I would get an X-ray.
If you got an appointment for it, you couldn't. If you broke your finger and you went to the minor injury unit, you wouldn't get any help. They would say, we're closed, you have to go somewhere else. But if you've been, say you sprained your ankle and you went to see the doctor and the doctor said, oh, you need an X-ray on that, well, then they'll send you there to get your better.
I mean, I don't know Dawlish like this. So was it a functioning hospital? Did it used to serve the people? It was a minor injury.
Yes, it was.
Because, it's quite Dawlish is not small, is it?
No.
And
you have the seasonal, you have the people coming in.
The tourists are coming in?
Yeah.
So if a tourist injured himself for whatever reason, where would they go?
Have to go to Newton Abbot.
Okay, and they blame it on staffing problems.
That's what they say, and you've got all of the campsites over at Dawlish Warren as well, which that's all incorporated into that area.
And then you got 9.4 million people unemployed. Anyway, we don't go down that road.
Yeah.
All right. So let's just say, So you've been around to all the residents. You've knocked on the doors. You've spoke to people, and is this one of their concerns?
One of the biggest concerns at the moment is the brook and the state of it.
Which is the brook then? Is that the one that runs down the middle?
The water that runs down the middle, yeah.
Which is an attraction for all people.
Yes, it does bring tourists into Dawlish because particularly of the black swans, but also because of the ornamental birds that they have, not just the black swans. It's a nice grassy area where people can sit out and just enjoy being in the centre of the town. Nice open space, shops, or the local shops there to buy cakes and coffees and whatever you want to do.
It's a communal area.
Okay, I don't want to interrupt you, so don't. So you said they're not looking at what's happening to the brook?
Well, it seems to be that Teignbridge Council don't want to, since 2014, so up until 2014, the brook had been dredged every year because what happens is all the debris comes from up the hill, up Luscombe Hill, gets washed down the brook, and of course all the sides of the bank of the brook will get washed as well. So you're getting all this debris working its way out towards the sea. So if there was no brook there, if it hadn't been adjusted, it would eventually wash itself out to the sea. But many years ago, it was made wide and man-made as opposed to a meandering sort of river going out to the sea, and features made of it. So at the bottom of it, right down near Duck's Plot, was a boating lake where people years ago would take their boats down with their children and put their boats on there. But 2014, the dredging stopped, and the official line is Teignbridge Council wouldn't pay for any more dredging, and the Environment Agency say you can't dredge because of the wildlife in the pond. So what's happened, it's silted up. It's silted up really badly. Those pictures you have on there do not reflect what it looks like now. It looks absolutely terrible. And there's a voluntary group run by one of my competitors, the Green candidate. He's got a voluntary group of people that are trying to clean it out. But he is very much in following the Environment Agency's regulations, and they won't get a machine in to dig it out, but they've been going down there this week digging it out by hand, which is going to take absolutely forever.
Oh my gosh.
But they are very concerned about brown trout and things like that. But my concern, and people in Dawlish are really up in arms about it. I mean, not only that, there are people that come on holiday who belong to a lot of the Facebook groups in Dawlish who are up in arms about the state of it as well. So it's a very, very big talking point at the moment. My concern about it is, if you want Dawlish to have the black swans, if you want them to draw holidaymakers in and keep the tourists coming in and keep the money coming into the town, if you want that, you've got to clear that out, because a pair of black swans needs 4 Olympic-sized swimming pools area to swim in. That's one pair. There's 4 pairs on that brook there, and there is no way is that enough space for them. It needs to be 1.5 metres deep, and it isn't. So really, those black swans shouldn't be there. They can't fly away because their wings are clipped. They are captive.
Oh, hang on. They're clipped.
Yeah.
Who clips them?
They get clipped by the warden, so they can't fly away.
Sorry, I'm not a great lover of clipping.
No,
I'm a bird lover.
No, this is what happens. So they're although they're in the open air, they are like they're captive. So their environment is not being considered.
Yeah.
The brown trout or whatever it is, to me, and the cost seems to be overtaking the need of the swans.
It's getting the right balance. So the swans are there because they're a public attraction. Mm. The brook, you call it a brook?
Yep, it's
right,
a brook.
is not maintained properly because they find money or whatever, and they come I call them excuses, by the way. Mm. All right, because you never had this problem before 2014, did you?
No.
Right, because it was maintained. But there, Steve, what's your view on this?
Yeah, I get to hear this a lot, actually, because there's no reform councillor in Dawlish currently. Not just for this, but a lot of other issues and that are brought to me because they don't seem to get the kind of response that they think a councillor should give. But the brook comes up again and again and again. What are you going to do about the brook? And I said, well, I'm not the candidate here, but I would support any councillor that really wants to make a difference in Dawlish. It is Dawlish Water. It is part of the town's identity.
Mm-hmm. May I jump in? Going back off the subject now, why reform?
Why reform?
Why? Because you're an educated lady, and I'm an educated man, and I know why I joined reform. So the biggest question I'm going to ask this lady who I just met tonight is, why reform? Reform
because their fundamental beliefs align with mine. I kind of got on board, well, not with reform originally, but I kind of got on board. Can I just take you back a little bit?
Of course you can. This is your show, not mine.
So when I was 18, I was in the Wrens. I was at Yeovilton. And it was the first time that I could vote in an election. And the election was for during the European Economic Community. That was my very, very first vote. And I went down to vote. My gut was I should say no in that vote. But when I got down to the polling station on Yeovilton Air Station, I thought, everybody's telling me on the TV, we got to join. So I kind of bottled it when I got there, and I ticked the box to join European Union. As the years have gone by, and I'm 71 years old now, as the years have gone by, I've realised what a big mistake that was. And regretted it. And by the time, probably the late 1990s, I thought to myself, am I the only one thinking this was a really, really bad idea? And then one day I heard Nigel Farage talking, and I thought, oh my God, I'm not the only person. He's saying exactly how I feel about it. So I started following him. I never joined any political party in my life, and I never joined that political party, but I did vote to leave the European Union in 2016 when we had the election. But then I started to notice how things were going in this country, and what really turned me was being let down by Boris Johnson, because I voted Conservative. In my whole life, I voted Conservative, Liberal Democrat, and Labour. I held my hand up and say I voted for Tony Blair, who absolutely let us down badly. But I was so devastated by what Boris Johnson did when we voted him in and gave him an 80-seat majority that really, really turned my feelings. And that's when I started getting on board with reform, because I fundamentally believe the things that they stand for, and none of the other parties are saying how I feel.
What are some of the examples of what you disliked about Boris Johnson? In fact, the Conservative Party today, if you could.
Well, the Conservative Party Boris Johnson lead betrayed us pretty much as soon as he got voted in and he walked into 10 Downing Street. There were lots of little things that dripped and dripped and dripped out, and I started to think to myself, oh, that's not right, that's not right. I didn't like the deal he did with the fishermen. I think he failed the fishermen. It was disgusting what he did. I didn't like what he'd done up in Northern Ireland. I know he was ill. I know he had COVID, and you have to give him a little bit of credit for that. But he really failed and let us down badly.
Neil?
So going back to Dawlish, your residents, how do they come because you've knocked on doors, and you've spoke to people, and how do they treat you now? How do they respect you? Have you had any negative people? Have you had positive people? Have you had neutral people?
Yeah,
because I've met all different types of people. I've had people go, oh, I'm so glad. We're so glad. We've got, you're here. We can vote for you, because they want someone to express their wishes, and the only way they can do that is by voting for me, how they're believing. And then we've had people that, we don't know, haven't made our mind up. And then there's been people like, don't put this racist, sexist in my letterbox, please. Okay, thank you very much. I'll have that leaflet back from you. So there's been quite a mixture, but on the whole, it hasn't been like that. I've even had people that won't follow reform, but have been very polite and kind and said, "Oh, thank you very much, but no, thank you." And I said, "Well, thank you for being so polite to me, as opposed to being rude." So it's been a mixture. And if you're asking me, do I think I'm going to win there? I would say my gut feeling is it's touch and go. Okay, so Steve, do you think, and Tony, do you think what gets pumped out in the media, social media, general media, it's always against reform?
Yeah.
I think you can do that one first.
Yeah, I've been in the party 3 years, and I've obviously been in a number of elections now, including a general election, and the general narrative that we're getting from the likes of Keir Starmer downwards in the mainstream press, etc., it's to demonise us, constantly demonise us. And when I actually challenge people to actually elaborate and explain why they think we're such terrible, evil people, they can't. They just use the same words. It's a parroting exercise. I haven't had anyone spit in my face for a while, so I consider that to be a positive
bonus,
improvement. But it is an establishment narrative that is fueling this. They don't see us as human. So,
what's your view, Robert?
Well, let's flip over to Tony first before you get my view.
Well, all right. I was going to say that exactly what Steve said, and you've seen it as well, Sue. You knock on doors. Certain people have got something in their mind, and that's what you are. You're racist. You're fascist. You're far right. You hate everybody. You hate gays. You hate this, that, and the other. No, we don't. That's not what we're saying, but it's what the media will keep pumping out. And I suppose they think if they say it enough, something will stick. If a reform councillor makes a mistake, major news,
I think maybe to add to that, I think you're exactly right, Tony, by the way, but when I was out on, was it Monday, I was down in Dawlish.
Monday,
Yeah. even the people, when I must have knocked on about 100 doors, but even the people that said no, I wouldn't be voting for reform, they were polite, except for this one young man, and he said no, I wouldn't be voting for anybody who's a fascist. And I think there are people that get stuck into social media really, and they never encounter somebody on the doorstep or face to face, because I'm sure that, if we had a conversation with that, if I could have had a conversation with that young man, he would have never done that to me. I just caught him on the fly. That's my opinion. What do you think, Neil?
Yeah, I just think there's too much out in the press. The narrative is always controlled by the government. So when a prime minister says, they've jumped on the band of the far right, they're planting seeds into your head, nobody says they're jumping on the band of the far left. Okay, we're going to have an interesting one next week because there's a certain election going on. I can't discuss it, but what I will do is drip feed you and say there's people jumping to bed with other parties, and people are sponsoring other parties to stop reform. And there was a prime example was in Wales. All right, I am not a great lover of our political system. I think it is gone corrupt. The last time what is happening now was in 1965. So technically you can take somebody who's in a position of nowhere or whatever, he can jump in to be an MP and potentially he can be the Prime Minister. I think it's politically broken. All right, he will not have my backing. He will not have my mandate, and I will not respect the system. And I've said this to you guys on here. Look at there's no system in the world which is the best. But Ireland has a good system, or better than anybody. Do your research on Ireland. Okay, they vote for the person.
Yeah.
Have I just put a spanner in the work? Well, let's go back to
the
Sue.
system is good, although
It's been abused.
they're in the same situation as we are. All those who are putting themselves up for election all think alike. They have a uniparty problem as much as we do here in the UK.
Let's go back to Sue. Go on. Yep.
Yeah, I was just going to say, let's, if we just segue on to a couple topics that are near and dear to me. One is our veterans, which thank you for your service, Sue, and also the farmers. And I was just wondering if you could just maybe expand on your comment about the time that you served and why veterans are important to you, Sue.
Obviously my background is the Fleet Air Arm, and so that's close to my heart. That's one of the reasons that's important to me. My grandson is now serving as an air crew at RNLS Yeovilton, and it's important that he's looked after when I'm not here if he gets into any difficulties. Also that my eldest son, if he ever needs any help, that he gets looked after. I know that council housing and healthcare facilities all have a system whereby veterans are supposed to be given extra help or support. But it seems to me, when I see veterans out on the street and homeless, that does not seem to be working properly. We don't appear in this country to look after our veterans or respect our veterans in the same way that I witnessed when I was out in the States. They certainly respect their veterans out there, and we do not. That has to come from the top, that has to come from government, and it will filter down throughout the rest of the population, but it needs to come from the top. The other thing that and I know this really isn't not really to do with Dawlish, but I don't like the way that the government at the moment is chasing after the Northern Ireland veterans. It makes me absolutely fuming when I see it. It should never be allowed, and it's the best thing you can do to stop any youngster joining one of the forces. Yeah,
thank you, Sue. And since I am American, in fact, I served in the Air Force and graduated from the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, so I'm very familiar with the U.S. Air Force and U.S. military. I as many people know, I'm a fan of the New York Yankees. And in fact, if you go to any baseball game, just about every baseball game, they lead off with a veteran. And the man, and then they sing "God Bless America," and they say, "Thank you for your service." You know, it could be World War I, it could be the Korean War, it could be Vietnam War, and we really, in America, we really have grown to respect and love our veterans. It wasn't always that way. The Vietnam War, there was really a difficult time, but ever since the Vietnam War, we really take care of our veterans as much as we can. Neil?
I just want to say from somebody, Mick, he said, our candidate, Sue, and this means a lot to me because I have things in life, is an honest, intelligent, forthright character with honesty and integrity. That means a lot to me, right? That means so much because I can actually sit in now and do a 2-3 hour program about councillors in Exeter who don't have honesty, they don't have intelligence, right, and integrity, right? We need to change. Sue, I've only met you 10 minutes, 20 minutes ago, you know, and you know, I'm going to go back to a question. You've also put about protecting farmland. Tell me more about protecting farmland.
Well, one of the things I'm not very keen on is solar panels on farming fields. I think solar panels can be a good thing, but they need to be on roofs or car parks, but not on fields that can grow crops in the future. We live in a country where the weather can be very rough and not very nice. And solar panels have chemicals in them and they can be blown over and smashed. The chemicals can leak into the ground. The little tiny pieces of glass from the solar panels can break into the ground because we've had a massive storm. Now that land, unless a farmer can go and take the whole of the top of that soil off, that land is destroyed for future generations. And that's one of the reasons I'm not very keen on that. I don't like what's happening with the farming tax. In fact, I've recently watched Jeremy Clarkson's programme, and I was really, really impressed with his computerised robots ploughing up the land, putting seeds in and weeding. Very, very impressed with that. But those machines cost a lot of money. And when farmers are investing in this machinery and they die, their children who perhaps want to take the farms over are being taxed on this very, very expensive machinery. And I think they're having a really bad deal with this system. And also, can I just say about solar panels? And I have to get this out because it's like solar panels and wind turbines, right? As far as I know, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, those pieces of equipment are not made in this country.
Yeah,
they are made in China. Now, how can we have energy security with solar and wind power when those pieces of equipment are made abroad? Because if there is a war of some kind, we will never be able to produce the solar or the wind power. We'll never be, because we won't be able to get those pieces of equipment unless someone tells me something different.
I've heard the same thing. So at least about the solar panels, I think the turbines are also made. Well, they're not made in the UK.
They're made in China.
I think.
No.
But also, you know, the various green initiatives have been sold by Labour primarily and the Conservatives as providing green energy jobs. Well, where are they? You know, every time you turn around, there are jobs that are going, not being created. Neil, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, we're going to bring us 3 questions in the end. Someone's jumping back a little bit forward. Boris Johnson.
Don't do tennis.
Boris Johnson. Okay, so some were for him, some was against him. I was actually for him because going back to honesty, integrity, well, we could question that. But he was in a position of an awkward time, but nobody experienced. But his men around him were not loyal to him. And, you know, we could jump back in time with Margaret Thatcher. All right, you know, when they want to stab you in the back, they stab you in the back. And there's one thing about politics, guys. I can tell you, there's a lot of people who want to stab you in the back. The harder you work, the more they want to stab you. All right. So, and somebody said, he took a bit of cheese and wine and a bit of bubbly. Yeah, the guy's working hard. He's trying to keep the country up and running. Yeah, I know. But listen, Keir Starmer was caught drinking a beer. All right. He was caught by two students. Yeah. But I know that the person who was in charge of that investigation was a Labourite. And it got scrubbed out. You didn't hear much in the newspapers, do you? Adrian Clark comes up with a good one too. In France, it's law solar panels should go on car parks.
Oh.
Good one for Mick. Often some just believe displaying support in the armed forces covenant and emblem is enough. Civil servants must be better to highlight and identify our veterans rather than our veterans having to identify themselves.
Yeah,
what do you have to say on that?
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Yeah, they should be identified and not. If you sign up at the GP surgery, for example, you get a form to fill in, your health and that kind of thing, and there's a tick box to say whether you're a veteran or not. Well, in actual fact, if you don't tick it, nobody's ever going to know. Nobody. The onus is on you to inform the people, whereas it should be the other, like this person saying on there, it should be the other way around. Yeah.
I'm going to smash in these questions. Why should residents support you?
Why should they support me?
I'm putting you on the spot here.
Because I'm their only hope of sanity.
That's a good answer. I like that one.
I'm their only hope of sanity in a socialist, Marxist landscape. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
No, it is. So we are going down the road of socialism. And I think we might talk on one of our podcasts about socialism. And we will talk about that and compare. All right, and it'd be a very good subject. But carry on. So I've got here, like, what sort of councillor would you like to be?
Gosh. Well, I definitely want to be a councillor that will listen to what my constituents tell me. But what I also want to do is open the door for the public to be able to speak at council meetings. Because what I find really frustrating is the public have voted for you to represent them on the council, and when they are so frustrated with a situation that they come to the council meeting to talk about it, they are shouted down and censored and not allowed to give their opinion on things. And I actually was at a recent Dawlish Town Council meeting with regards to the Newey, which is another piece of land that is very important to the Dawlish people. It's a piece of land that the church is want the lease renewed. Teambridge Council will not really renew the lease on the Newey, and there were a lot of local people there, and I'm saying real local people with parents and grandparents from that area, and they adore this piece of land, and they're devastated that they might lose it, and they wanted to go to the council meeting and give their thoughts. They were given 15 minutes to speak. They came not as with a leader. They came as couples and friends, and they could not get what they wanted out of the council with the 15 minutes that they were allowed. Bearing in mind that one person might have spoke for 5 minutes and another person might have spoken for 10 minutes, and they just couldn't get what they wanted over to the council. And I think the system that the council's using, and I saw the same in Teambridge Council as well, exactly the same system, is a way of shutting the public down when they want to raise their questions. So I want to be the kind of councillor that allows them to have their voice.
Great answer, Sue. Thank you. Neil?
Right, final message. Steve, Tony, myself and you, and then Rob's going to end it because we're over time because of our technical. Okay. We might invite you again before next Thursday.
Love
just to explore more. Okay, so Steve?
Yes. I think people do tend to vote habitually. And I think I'd like to try and break through that behaviour, if you like, and say, for goodness sake, our country is in trouble at the national level and at the local level. I mean, there's a whole programme for you about local government reorganisation, which I'd like to participate in the near future. a few things I've discovered. And I think that we need to start asking questions, more questions. People in the public who are not used to how councils, government work, ask the questions and demand the answers.
Tony?
Well, I was going to say the more I hear you sort of speak, Sue, the more I think Dawlish does need change. And, you know, if they don't sort of vote in a different direction, it'll just be the same old, same old. You've got nothing to lose, but you've got everything to gain.
Yeah, so going back to what Tony says, yeah, so if you're happy with life, then do what you got to do. But if you're not happy, you need to be voting for change. And you need to give reform a chance. Because right now, all these other parties are doing tactical voting to stop reform getting in. So if you don't give us a chance, right, let us prove ourselves. We haven't proven ourselves in Devon yet because we don't have the majority yet. Okay, but I'm going to really pass it on before Mike. I'm going to say final message from you, Sue.
My final message is that the Liberal Democrats are strong in this area, whole of the Southwest. What you have to realise is they always campaign on local issues. They always campaign on how wonderful they are at doing this and how wonderful they are at doing that. But what I would say is to you is beware of the Trojan horse.
Yes, I agree.
Bit of
I think
an encrypted
here's
message there.
here's a Trojan horse. The Green Party used to be green. It used to be all about green. That's why they call it Green Party. But it isn't green anymore. It's just gone all over the place. So I totally agree with you. So, Neil, final thought?
Yeah, final thought is I really, really appreciate you coming on. It's up to you who you vote. I'm a guy, I will never try and change anybody. I am there, sat on the fence. So we've had people come on today, very, very interesting, all of them. Same again, the invitation's open to the secret bunker. You come along, the only thing you get given is a coffee and a biscuit. That's about it. All right, but the welcome's here. You can bring up about your businesses. You can bring up about, you know, if you are belong to the Green Party, belong to the Labour Party. I don't care who you belong to, because we listen to all sides. But please, I don't have the people from the other side wanting to come on, and
We know you listen.
We really want to bring it in, and if you want change, you need to be voting for reform in Dawlish is next Thursday. Okay, there's, you know, that's all I can say. I can say, just trust us for a change. Don't listen to the other sides. Rob, finish the show.
Yeah, thank you very much, Neil. And hey, thanks, Steve, for coming on the podcast. It's been a long time. Hope to see you again very soon to talk about the LGR potentially. And Sue, I hope maybe this time next week or maybe the day after, we'll be cracking the bottle of champagne and celebrating a victory, you and Steve. And Tony, thanks for coming on. Great counselor.
Always a pleasure. You know that, Rob.
Yeah. And Neil, thanks for giving me all this technology, which I'm bound to fail to.
If it weren't for
to
me, you
excel
wouldn't get
on.
it back on. I think I'm
But,
going to have to take your position and you sit here.
But anyway, it's all good, and look forward to next Thursday podcast. Okay, episode 52.
Hopefully, no gremlins.
Thanks again, guys. Have a great night.
Respect the place that you call home.